This episode of GuildCast is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/Gamebreaker.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast episode 72 for May 29, 2013. You're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary Gannon. Coming up on today's show, the second of the May updates has arrived. The content schedule that we've been talking so much about, well, it might actually continue going forward. And plus looking for group eSports and API. We know API is super, super exciting. Half people are like, don't even know what that means. Of course, all that more for first. Mr. Rich Procopio, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
I'm ready for some API talk.
You ready for some API talk? You want to talk some programming, some API? What does that stand for? Like alternate process? Wait, I do know what it stands for. Hang on, it's in my show notes. Let me look. Hang on.
I could pretend that I know it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know it either. Let me see. What does API stand for? Application Programming Interface. We're going to talk about that on today's show. We're going to talk about Application Programming Interface. Matt Visual, you know what that's all about, right?
Oh, of course.
That was his major.
Yeah, it was.
Major in API. And earth tones.
I know it has something to do with tracking events, something like that.
Something like that. We'll get to it. It's actually kind of cool stuff. And Guild Wars 2 peeps are actually going to be really excited about it. So we'll talk about that later in the show. So first of this week, it's time for our last stand at Southsun. So the patch is finally here. Tell me, Richie, give me some, what's going on? What's the story? What's happening with the lore right now on the lore front with Southsun?
Okay, so Canuck is a Solvari who we met back in November, who was kind of responsible for bringing the Karka to Lion's Heart. He disturbed them, they attacked, it was all bad, and he got away. And he's been on the run, and now he's kind of been sold out by his fellow consortium members, and now he's looking to get revenge. So he is trying to bring this whole, consortium resort in Southsun. They're trying to bring it to its knees, and he found out basically that all the settlers, the refugees that have moved there, signed contracts so that they can't really leave the island and such because they signed a contract. So some of them are kind of being held against their will, and he wants to go there and cause some problems. So he's got some nefarious plans, and we are now going there to enter Canuck's lair, take him out, and learn more about what plans are already in motion and which ones we can't actually stop, even if we bring Canuck to heel. So interesting stuff.
Matt, what's going on with the open world on the island? Are we going to get more Karka? Can we be lucky enough?
Oh, they haven't started the events yet. June 5th. They seem to push it back because I looked at the patch notes. They said they're releasing more events. The Karka Queen was supposed to be coming to the open world events, but it's going to be on the June 5th. But yeah, it's just a regular event so far, other than the 2 extra dungeons, the solo and the team.
So it's definitely a Karka Queen, because I thought last I looked at it said on June 5th, the hulking monstrosity joins the fray. I thought that's how it was described, the hulking monstrosity, which does sound like a giant Karka.
Yeah, there's an achievement that we can't actually get yet. It revolves around killing the Queen Karka. And actually, I think a couple hours ago, ArenaNet actually put up a guide, and they actually included stuff that's going to take place next week. So it looks like next week they're going to put in this meta event chain where players can work together to actually control 4 different settlements on the island. And if the players control all 4 of them, then a new vendor opens up that you can use Karka shells to get new armor and stuff like that. But it also spawns the Karka Queen. And it's like a world boss. You have 10 minutes to kill her. And if you don't kill her in 10 minutes, she will despawn and go to a different settlement. So it kind of has like a chance for failure in this one. And that all that content, the meta events, the vendor and the Karka Queen event boss fight. That's going to stay in the game as a permanent content. So that's pretty interesting.
That's actually kind of cool. I mean, it sounds like a really good way for people to actually have to work together and kind of a little sense of urgency to kind of get that thing done and also not screw that up. So on top of the open world content, right, there's a new dungeon, which is kind of weird. Explain this to me. So it's split up a bit strangely. So you actually have to run this thing solo.
You have to run it solo first.
You don't have to.
Oh, you don't? I thought you had to run it. It's like a story-heavy version.
It was written that way, but I actually ran it I ran the 5-man version with a buddy who never did the solo one. They kind of recommend it because it kind of teaches you the mechanic, but you don't have to. It's not required.
I think it's the same thing as other dungeons where you can unlock it. So if you're the party leader, you have to have it unlocked. If you're not the party leader, then you could just go into the dungeon. It's fine. If someone else did it, it's fine.
Okay.
The solo dungeons. Yeah.
Have both of you guys run it solo to do this story heavy? Would you suggest that most players all run it solo first to get that story, that lore?
Well, unless you don't have 10 minutes.
That's all it takes.
Some people actually had trouble. Like
the solo?
Doing the mines. Yeah. They say, oh, why can't we have a group in there? I guess because I was a guardian, I didn't have a problem. The guy couldn't kill me at all, but a couple like thieves and mesmers, well, not mesmers, thieves were having problems. The squishy classes. And
what about all of 10 minutes? Is it well done?
You know what? It is literally a boss fight. That's all it is. There's a little dialogue between two NPCs at the very beginning, and then you fight the boss. There's no trash.
And it sounds like it's not very challenging either. You're saying some people had trouble with it, but it doesn't really sound like it's.
No, the solo instance is just a gimmick. It's you pick up a bundle.
What's the purpose of it? What's the point? Like why do it like this? What's the
the guy on the stream was saying that it was some people wanted solo dungeons, so they wanted to do it by themselves, and this is the way to appease those players as well. I didn't see the point to it. I mean, all you do is pick up a mine detector, you detect what type of mine it is, and then disarm it. And that's what you do for the boss. And that's the only way to defeat the boss. You can also just use conditions to defeat the boss. You don't actually have to use.
I think they might have patched that.
They might have patched it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Some people just drill them down with conditions. But yeah, I mean, that's how you defeat the boss, is that you just, you make the mine turn green by disarming it and make the boss run into it. And it's the same thing with the 5 dungeon boss.
Yeah, I think this is their way. I think this is their way of giving some story content that just everyone who wants to can jump in and beat that, right? And it gives you a little bit of the story, and you get to take a knockdown. It gives you a little bit of reward and stuff like that. And then they put the 5-man in, which it's basically the same thing in terms of it's just one boss fight. It's not a big dungeon, but it's much harder. And I guess they wanted an excuse to put in a much harder dungeon, but they didn't want people. I guess they wanted to cater to both ends of it. So the solo instance really teaches you the mining mechanic, which is just a small piece of what you need to know for the 5-man version.
How different is it? Is it a matter of difficulties? Are there new mechanics, or is it just hit points? How from the solo version?
There's a bit of new mechanics.
Lots of new mechanics.
Lots of new mechanics?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't kill the person. Well, I guess that's kind of the same thing. The boss gets a shield over them until you put it on, bring them closer to a mine. So you have to have, usually what the guide says is you have to stand in the corner, because if you stand in the middle, all the traps will set off, and then everyone kind of dies. So you have to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to sit here, and one person defuses the traps and brings the boss over. And then you just keep damaging him and just rinse and repeat. Yeah, sometimes you get a debuff, but yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you have that whole mind thing, just like Matt described. But then you have, at 75% health, he summons an orb that you can't kill that kind of pass around the room doing AoE that you have to now avoid. And at 50%, he puts down regeneration turrets that heal the boss that you have to have someone go around and kill those. Otherwise he starts getting health. And then at 25%, this is what the real killer is. He puts a stacking debuff on the group that increases the damage that is done to you. So it's basically a softened rage timer. So you have to kill him very quickly at that point. But he can still put a shield up. And then you have to run him over a mine. He still could be healed by the turret. So it's really a DPS race at the end there. And it's a neat little boss fight. It's one of the more well done encounters. And it is difficult. Like, I was actually wiping on a boss fight. I was like, what? What is this? Wiping in Guild Wars 2? No.
How do you think?
I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize that he was doing other stuff. I mean, when I was reading the guide, I was like, oh, okay. And I still sat there, and we killed him pretty quickly. I didn't get much of a fight out of him. We burst him down pretty quickly. I don't know if I just had an organized team with it, but
I picked up pugs last night for my first, and one of them is level 42. I don't recommend that. That's not a recommendation here from me.
Rich, how do you feel? Because we talked a lot about for months and months and tons of episodes about some of the boss fights and how they even acknowledged the fact that they needed to kind of go back and revamp some stuff and kind of make them a bit better than they were and robust. How do you feel like the bosses are coming along at this point as far as mechanics and stuff? Are you continuing to see improvements?
Yeah, it's getting better. I mean, the molten weapon facility, the boss fight at the end was much more fun than previous ones. Some of the changes they did to Ascalon are a bit better. And, I was watching the dev live stream. They actually went through this boss fight and kind of what their thinking was. And they said, we learned a lot. We're no longer, setting up. We're not trying to make things challenging by making auto attacks just one-shot you. It's going to be, you're not going to fall down, right, unless you mess up the mechanics somehow, unless you run into something that is totally avoidable, those kind of mechanics. Because it's not fun to just fight a boss who's hard because, if you get hit once by him, you're down. So I don't think it's, I think they're going in the right direction. I think there's still more to go. I want there to be more of a sense of team has to get together and bang their head at it for a while and constantly tweak the strategy, and then, slowly over time, like, figure out how to do it. And then they go on to the next boss kind of thing. So this one was kind of working for me last night. Maybe if I had a more organized team like Matt, it wouldn't have been as difficult. But, we wiped on it 5 or 6 times before we got it down. And then I repeated it today with a more organized group, and we didn't wipe it all. So I think they're heading in the right direction. They still can make things more challenging. I think really the Guild Wars 2 PvE player base wants to see more difficult stuff, and we're just not there yet.
Well, it sounds like it may be slightly short, but definitely sounds like it's worth running. So I think all you guys should get in there and at least run it once, since it sounds like it is super short. Dub VDub saw a big shakeup with the new matchmaking formula being implemented to vary up the worlds your server would actually go against. So how about this? Is this something that players have been really looking for? Has Dub VDub's really been struggling right now to see this change? Were people getting bored of the same old matchups?
Yeah, because the matchups keeps repeating themselves. We keep getting a sucky person, and we keep getting a person just destroys us no matter what. They're like organized, like everyone on the servers in World v World in each Borderlands. And I guess now with this, maybe we will see some new matchups, maybe some weaker opponents that we can steamroll. I don't know, but yeah.
So it's been mainly a balance issue, but it's too early to tell whether this new system is kind of balancing it out.
After a couple weeks, you should be able to tell if it's good or not.
Yeah, I think the next rotation is really the first time we're going to see it matched up. At least my server is currently, because I did some World vs. World earlier today. My current matchup is still the same, right? So maybe we'll start seeing some more deviations, and it's not going to change every single week. You might still see this matchup even coming this week, but it's just more likely that there's a wider spread. I just thought it was funny that they the example that they gave, like kind of explaining on the website, said, "Hey, and in the next matchup, the 8th ranked team might go against the 1st ranked team," and I'm like,
oh no!
Like the 8th ranked team's not going to be too. They're not going to be happy
when
example.
that pop happens. They're just going to be like, "What?" I mean, new opponents, new strategies. I guess more surprising results. I don't know. Maybe it's a good way to go. I don't know. We'll see. World experience can now be acquired by killing guards, destroying walls, gates, or building mortars, cannons, and burning oil. What's going on here? So, I mean, were people just not gaining enough world experience fast enough?
Yeah, that's exactly
way too slow.
Yeah.
Well, they implemented the World EXP not too long ago, right? And they did, very basic things in there, like if you complete an event in World versus World, that gave you some credit in killing people and stuff like that. But they're just saying, hey, there's more things you can do in World versus World, and we're going to, give you more experience for that. I think they even upped the amount that you get for completing an event there. I think they doubled it, in fact. So there was really, I guess I really felt that it was too slow of a progression path. That's good. I gained 2 ranks today in about an hour. So
wow.
So did I. I went in there and tested out a little bit because I saw this. I was seeing the new abilities for the ore, not the ore, the oil, the oil, and everything like that. And of course, you're gonna have to rank up a lot more before you can upgrade that because you need 5 points just for one little bar. But I leveled up quite a bit. Killing all the guards and killing the Zergs and going through camps. Man, if you're a low level, it gives you like half a bar. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
World versus World leveling is very nice.
Yeah.
This
too
next
bad it's
one,
not like
Too bad it's not what?
Too bad it's not like leveling 1 to 80. How it's just a flat leveling curve. Because the levels will come so easily.
This next one here is a huge addition. PvP players are probably screaming and rejoicing. There's a new merchant selling ascended items in exchange for badges of honor. Definitely fair, right? Super, super awesome thing, right? It goes along with, I don't know, just all the letting players progress how they want to do. So I'm sure players are super happy about this.
You're missing the laurels, though. It takes like 20 laurels for rings. Whatever the lowest one, and then the highest one is like 40 laurels. So that's like 40 days. 40 days, and I guess if you count like monthlies, that'll be not 40 days. But man, that's gonna take a while to get as well. But I guess if people have nothing to spend their laurels on, and most people are spending their laurels on getting like T6 mats and stuff, I bet they're like kicking themselves now. They're like, oh dang, I could have saved them up and actually get an extended armor for it.
Yeah, but if they weren't doing, let's say before they put ascended gear in there, right? They were still getting their daily done and getting laurels, and they were having to wait like the 40 or so to get it off the PvE vendors now, and they have badges that are sitting around doing nothing. At least now they have a way to spend it. I agree, the laurel price seems a little steep for World versus World players, but at least they have a reason to spend their badges now, and they can use less laurels than getting it off the PvE vendor. So it's probably a good change.
Definitely a good change. I'm actually gonna use it, and use my laurels for it because I don't know. The other ways, well, there's not many other ways doing fractals. I don't know. I don't know if I want. I don't know if I want to go through that again.
Speaking of progression, there's a reward chest in VDubs now every time they reach a new rank. So what's the big news here, right? A chance for precursors, as well as ascended rings and exotic gear. So if people aren't VDubbing, I think people are going to start spamming the VDubs now for sure.
That's why I was there.
Let's not get so excited, okay? Everything's got a chance for precursors. I've been playing 1%. This game for 9 months and I haven't seen precursor. Okay.
0.000000001% to get a precursor.
Hey, there's a chance. There's a
chance. But
yeah, everything is a chance in this game, pretty much.
I run around doing those boss encounters. Oh, I did 7 big world bosses today. Nothing. It's good that they give you a chest, though. It is good. I got a couple of them today. I didn't get anything great in them, just some badges and stuff like that. I hear a lot of people getting greens from it, but better than nothing.
And then for players who are gonna freak out about this, if you've earned ranks previously, going forward, every time you earn a rank, you'll get 2 chests instead of 1 until you've basically caught up. This seems like a pretty good solution. Is there any downfall to that?
No, that's perfect. I was reading the patch notes. I'm like, oh my god, people that are already mega rank are going to be like, where's my chest? And I read the next patch note. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good way of handling that. So yeah, I think that. How can you complain about that? You will get the ones that are owed to you.
The only downside is for the mega World v World guys who are like level 1 billion already, and it takes them forever to level up. That's the only bad thing, but most
pretty
people aren't that high.
Probably.
I think. Yeah. Yeah, but who cares about the 1%, right?
We are the 1%. No, we're not.
Just Matt.
This is a bit less exciting, but there's also 2 new Dub VDub abilities. So you got Defense Against Guards and Oil Mastery. Nothing too crazy from the Dub VDub abilities yet. I don't think we haven't seen. These are kind of, Are you guys seeing people use them, or what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I think that there is probably some folks that are really into World versus World, right? And they get very organized, like Matt was saying before. And I know that there's server like TeamSpeaks and there's forums and stuff like that. And so if you're really into it, and somebody's like asking people, all right, you 5 people should get Oil Mastery. You guys, get the abilities on this siege weapon, and you really kind of know who's spec'd for what on your team. Then different. If you get that granular. Then those kind of assignments would probably be pretty cool. For someone like me who tools around in World versus World every once in a while, I'm going to take, I'll go for like holding some extra supply, maybe taking some less damage versus siege weapons here or there. So there are little bonuses here and there, but nothing that's like, oh my god, this is like so much more fun to play World versus World now. And I don't think they really can do that. As soon as you make it so that, hey, once you get to rank 5 of this, then you can kind of, rain frogs down from the sky and obliterate everybody. Then everyone's going to feel like you can't compete in World versus World unless you're rank 5 of that and can rain frogs on people's heads. So I think it gives enough customization for people to be interested in it, who want to kind of manage that, but also keep it, so that nothing is absolutely necessary for you to compete.
Overall, I'd say really nice patch for WVDub fans, especially. Really nice patch. Also, a little less exciting is an improvement on server performance as well for during large-scale encounters. So, adding to the completion or removal of all the culling stuff that we've been talking about for months and months and months. It sounds like they're still working on that, but really good patch. I think it's pretty good, solid. Everybody seems to be pretty happy with it. I want to talk a bit about the updates and the cadence of updates that Guild Wars 2 has been putting out. But really quick, I want to tell you guys about a great deal we got going on with Audible. If you guys have not checked out Audible, this is your chance. Go over to audible.com/Gamebreaker. You just sign up there. You can try Audible out free for 30 days. You download the app. It's audiobooks on your iPhone, smartphone. You just download the app, put it on your iOS device or Android, and you could be downloading a free book tonight. You guys sci-fi fans at all?
Oh, yeah.
You guys Snow Crash fans?
Snow Crash?
I don't
Oh
know
my
what that
God,
is.
you guys have not read Snow Crash. All right, Matt Visual, you need to go to audible.com/Gamebreaker right now. Make an account and
Right
download
now.
like one of the best.
To the Metacop.
It's one of the best
A wet,
sci-fi
smacking burst,
novels ever.
not loud enough to be an explosion, sounds from the back of the mobile unit.
Oh,
It is
I
the
love
soft
audiobooks.
thump of a thick wrestler's loogie being propelled through a rolled-up tongue. It is the distant, muffled splurt of a baby having a big one. YT's hand,
Wow.
still gripping the bars of the gate, stings for a moment, then feels cold and hot at the same time. She can barely move it. She smells vinyl. The Metacop's partner climbs out of the back seat of the mobile unit. The window of the back door is open, but everything on the mobile unit is so black and shiny, you can't tell that until the door moves. Both Metacops, under their glossy black helmets and night vision goggles, are grinning. The one getting out of the mobile unit is carrying a short-range chemical restraint projector, a loogie gun.
Come on, this Snow Crash
Wow.
is the S. I want to say the word, but I'm not gonna say the word. But seriously, Snow Crash is amazing. You guys, both of you guys have to go check this out. God, you have to go listen to Snow Crash. It's amazing. It's like one of the best like cyberpunk like novels ever. It's awesome.
It's got a loogie gun.
It does. Free trial, free book. Audible.com/Gamebreaker. That's the URL you got to use. Just go over. You could be downloading Snow Crash tonight. I highly look at it. It's got almost 4,300 reviews. It's 4 out of 5 stars. Come on, it's a classic. If you're a sci-fi fan, see, I'm kind of surprised at you sci-fi nerds not knowing this. It's a classic. It's a classic sci-fi book. Check it out. Go on over. Audible.com/Gamebreaker for your free 30-day trial and your free audiobook. Definitely a worthy book to download. All right, so we talked a bunch about those 2 updates that we got in May. We were speculating if that was going to be sort of the norm. Well, that might have not been an anomaly. So Scott Hawks over from zam.com spoke with Colin Johanson about it, and he had this to say. He said, it's definitely something we're looking at. Can we continue to support and update the game on a cadence this aggressive? We felt like once a month was really strong, and if we can get faster than that, it's even better for our customers. It's something we're working very seriously on as a company right now. Do you believe, Matt Visual? Do you believe? Can it be true?
I'm a little scared by this because if they keep popping out these events like this, I feel like they're gonna lose quality. You know, what are they really like? Just kind of like, here you go. Here's a new event. You know, here's something to do. I don't want them piecing together events for me to do. You know,
but let me ask you: do you feel like that's happened so far? Do you feel like are you feeling that?
At Super Adventure Box was great, right? And that was something original. I know it's easier said than done. I know that, but I feel like the living story is kind of like all right. Like it doesn't really grab me. Like when I hear, oh, there's a new patch, you know, I'm not like excited, you know, like how I was with early on in the releasing and Super Adventure Box. When I saw that trailer, I was like, oh, I got to play this. You know, and I realize they can't do it for everyone, but
I think a lot of gamers are kind of feel that same way about the living story, don't they? A lot of players are kind of like, they want it. It's like it's not really bad, but everyone kind of wants it to be better.
Yeah, a little bit more time into it, and I feel like if they make it faster, produce these things faster, then it will become a problem, and it won't be good content, and no one will come for the next patch. They'll be like, oh, a new patch? Yeah, it's probably just another living story thing, and I'm a type of guy. I don't read anything if this is not voice acting. I said it before. If it's not voice acting, I'm not gonna sit down and read text. I'm not. I'm gonna look on the almighty Duffy.net, and I'm gonna look up a guide to get my Corsage or my Doc Octopus.
You don't read, do you, Matt?
Backpack.
You don't read.
No, I don't read. That's why I listen to audiobooks.
Whitey didn't think to aim her night visions into the back.
You're reading my mind. Audible.com.
Actually, I have a stack of books, actually. Yeah. I love reading.
How do you feel about it, Rich? Because, I mean, you've kind of felt the same way, I think, about Living Story. Are you kind of fearful that the quality might suffer a little bit?
You know what? If I'm willing to give them more chance to see if they can, you know, bring it up. If it's just going to be tiny little micro updates and you never get that one big bang, then yeah, I don't know. That might hurt. But if it's a bunch of little micro updates and then, you know, every month or two we get this kind of huge new thing out of nowhere, that'd be pretty cool. I think, you know, gamers have such short memories because what a patch hit 1 month ago, right? That put in a dungeon that was universally liked. Obviously, it was short-term content. We can no longer play in it. Mm-hmm. And it brought in spectator mode and custom arenas, like huge feature. And like now the internet is abuzz with, oh, you know, these two patches we just got in May, they didn't have a lot to do. It's like,
bro, you're also talking about the internet, and I think like the episode of GuildCast, when if I remember right, the episode of GuildCast that we did the week that Guild Wars 2 launched, one of our questions was, when's the expansion coming out?
That's right.
The game was launched, and people were like, when's more content coming? When are we going to see an expansion?
Yeah, people eat through content really quick. But the thing with custom arenas and stuff like that, like it's split into a few things here. There's the PvE, there's the PvP, and then there's World v World. And most people who play the game are doing World v World, it seems. You know, I don't know what you could be doing in PvE.
Really?
If you're level 80. Yeah, for me, like I don't know what
you really
exactly.
think the majority of the players in Guild Wars 2 are doing dub v dubs? I'm going to say
that's
most
hard
of them
to claim. That's hard to claim, but most of the people who I've known that, of course, I don't know everyone in my server, but most of them is like they're in World v World. You know, they're not really like, oh, I'm farming for my legendary. Like no one tells me that anymore. You know, it's just like, nah, Matt, you did it for me. You did it for me. I'm not farming for that no more. You know, that's mostly the grab, it seems. I mean, argue with me, chat, but.
No, I'm watching chat while you're talking, and they're kind of agreeing with you, and I find that actually kind of fascinating. I wish we could actually get a number. I'd love to know, because if that's the case, that's actually really interesting. Because I would have said I still think the majority of people are doing PvE content.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. And what I was saying is they're doing real good love for World v World, and they're doing real good love for PvP. But PvE right now, we're just getting living story. And if you don't like the living story, that's it. You know.
Yeah, I think what Matt's going for here is there are a lot of people playing World versus World, right? And recently, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Recently, there's been a surge for structured PvP. And there are people playing PvE, obviously. You've got a lot of people who are really into alts, really into achievements, maybe working on their legendary, and just love exploring the world. They're not the type of people that need difficult content. They're not the type of people that need a PvE progression system. Or you've got some people that are interested in just getting fractals to the highest level they can, and then there's people that are just out waiting.
That's gotta be like way far down the rabbit hole, man. People who are trying to get fractals to that, like that you're talking like the 1% of the 1%.
I got a guy that's
there are people
over 40 fractals. 40 fractals? He's insane. I was like, whoa, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah,
I was like,
there's people that max it out at 80, so it's for some people that's the content, right?
What was the content update schedule like in the original Guild Wars? Was it anything even remotely close to this?
No. They did festivals and holiday events, and they put out their campaigns, right, which is kind of like their buy the box campaign. Not really an expansion, but they did the first one a year after Guild Wars 1 launched. And then they put out another one, I think, the following year. And then a couple of years after that, they put out the first expansion, the Eye of the North expansion. And then they went into kind of a live team, which is kind of like what we're seeing now. They did small little episodic stories that kind of brought the events from Guild Wars 1 into Guild Wars 2. So it was not a monthly type thing. I mean, they have little small events, but it's not just like new dungeons, new content, new stuff going in like that. So this is definitely different.
The thing is that gamers change, and the same thing that worked years ago doesn't work now. Right now, there's so many MMOs, and they're free to play, and there's so many games out there, consoles, phones, everything. You need to capture like your audience, or they're just kind of dwindle away. If it's not something keeping them to the game, then they're just gonna go off and do something else, which is fine when it comes down to Guild Wars 2 because there's no subscription fee. But you want, and that's what I was saying with the patch. That patch has to be like, oh snap, there's a new patch. Of course, not every patch is gonna be an expansion, but it has to have some meat there.
Quitting.
So, somebody posted an interesting comment a couple days ago on one of my YouTube videos. They said basically, when they're putting out new content every month or every few weeks, not every one of them is going to be a home run. Not every single one of them is going to be like Super Adventure Box, right? Or the Halloween event, the Clock Tower and stuff like that. There's going, as long as they can continue to put out one of those blockbuster things every few months, then I think people can remain excited about it. But just realize, though, you're not going to hit a home run every 2 weeks. You're just not going to do that.
And that's why I was like, man, maybe we should calm down with the steady flow of weekly updates. But I guess, yeah, I have to agree with you. Like, as long as they hit the home run every couple months, that'd be like, oh, wow, the Adventure Box New World came out, or Halloween is coming back better than ever, and the Clock Tower is going to be twice as long and twice as deadly, Yeah,
the problem with just holding back, right, and only coming out with the blockbusters is they need people playing the game, right, and they want people to have a reason to log in as much as possible. And I think these events, I've talked about it before, these events, they bring people in. I was saying it before as once a month, but now it might be twice a month or so. And they're putting new gem store items in there and trying to get you excited. And they have to keep players in the game, and this is their way to do that. So it's that I think that they're going to go towards more and more frequently rather than holding back and trying to make each one be a blockbuster.
All right, next up, players have been digging into the game files after the latest update, and there's some cool stuff and some less cool stuff. Things have been found in there. So the best thing I think they pulled out of there was the looking for group tool. Finally, it's in there. They see it.
Ooh.
I don't know. I guess maybe we're hoping for a June patch. with that. Maybe we'll see that in June. Not really sure. How desperate is the game right now in need for an LFG tool?
I used Twitter last night to form a group.
So it's pretty damn needed. If you're using Twitter,
Everyone uses that website.
You're not even
Everyone uses that
you're not
website,
even
too.
like using chat. Everybody's using a website, Twitter. You're not even using chat. You're just like,
Eventually, well, this is sad for my for how many Twitter followers I have, because I actually I filled some with Twitter and then I had to do some in chat.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it needs looking for group, and it's great that they actually found some of the dialogue options in the file, and it seems like you're going to be able to set up what your group is doing, and they have all the recommended levels for the various dungeons. But it does look like, and nothing's confirmed yet, it does look like we reported earlier, that it's not going to be an auto matchmaking type of group tool. It's not going to be that you queue up for something and then they just match you with a group. It's going to be, hey, we're looking for one more for Sorrow's Embrace Explorable or whatever, and then someone can
right, you need
contact
like one person, you need a pickup person or something like that, which is great because a lot of times you have like 2-3 people, but you need a couple extra people, just not a full like just matchmaking kind of system. Now this next thing here, this is really interesting. I want to know what you guys think of this. So there's something else that they found in the files, and there's something called Skyhammer. Now, I don't know. There's very sketchy information on this. There's not a whole lot to go on, but what the heck do you guys think this could be? Maybe a structured PvP map? A secondary objective? Maybe being like a big cannon or something called a Skyhammer? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Skyhammer.
That's my new legendary.
Skyhammer!
Skyhammer!
I don't know.
So let's say,
So there's only a few
Thor's
random
hammer?
lines. There's only a few random lines within the files. Basically, it just says, and here's the code, it says, maintain control of the Skyhammer cannon to call down lightning and vaporize your foes.
That sounds awesome.
Then it's a Skyhammer calibrated for Red Team. That's the other text we have. Red
Maybe
Team
a
has to
collab with DC Universe.
Yeah, it's got to be a PvP.
It's got to be a
map.
PvP thing. I mean, the Red Team has to point towards a PvP for sure.
Halt all movement, experiment incoming, and test subjects may experience dizziness, confusion.
What about a game mode? A new game mode?
Who knows?
I would love a new game mode because I don't know.
Maybe it's a
There's
game
only
mode and you
one.
have to, maintain control of the Skyhammer. Maybe part of the game mode is you have to maintain control. As I'm saying, maybe it's some sort of structured PvP map with this like device that, the team has to try and maintain control over it, and it kind of gives you like some major, lightning and vaporizing your foes.
That would be pretty cool.
It sounds pretty awesome. I know.
Yeah.
Words are epic, and you say things like lightning, call down lightning and vaporize your foes. Gamers just get excited.
Yes, King of the Hill, please. King of the Hill. I was making a map like that with my custom arena. Everyone goes into the middle arena and fight over that one little circle. I think that's like the best thing ever. So like running around like little rats. And Oddball, oh my gosh. Oddball would be nice. Not like the crab one, of course, though. The crab toss.
Yeah, people are doing crazy things with the custom arenas. They're doing all kinds of like mini games. They're playing hide and seek.
Yeah,
they have all these rules that they make up, and I think that's really interesting. Yeah,
it's good.
I got to get into Matt's custom arena.
You do. Hide and seek.
It's
all right,
fun.
a little bit of non-cool stuff. Back to school town clothes and swimwear, which sound like more boring town clothes. Slightly better sounding is the dragon mask. I don't know. I'm still betting it's just town clothes. So town clothes.
I'm the only one who hates town clothes.
No,
what'd you say?
No.
I hate it. I hate the concept of town clothes.
Yeah, we've ranted about that before.
We've ranted about that a lot. That's why I'm saying it's
I'm
pretty
late
much
to the party.
It's not very exciting news. That's why I'm kind of just being like, oh, there's some new stuff, some swimwear. But the dragon mask sounds cool because it's got the word dragon in it.
It looks cool. They have kind of, they don't have the texture on it yet, but they have the model. It looks cool. And it looks like there's a dragon festival that's coming, I guess, for, the next patch is going to have something to do with the dragon festival. We don't know a ton of information about that, but
and Kanta?
No, it's going to be. I know that they're going to be wrapping up the Southsun, and it's going to lead into the dragon festival some form. I can't remember where I read that or what the context was, so I apologize for that. But Dragon Mask and Dragon Festival seem to go together.
As long as they don't call it Dragonborn. Esports. Finally up and running. Finally up and running was the esports. You mentioned it a bit before, but there's been a ton of tournaments since it's gone live. Have you been guys checking them out? How are they to watch? You catch any of them?
Yeah, I've catched every one of them. Not like the whole thing, but I've captured mostly like in between and to the end. Now,
so what's your feelings? I mean, do you feel like people are going to actually like embrace this and get into watching these regularly and supporting teams? Is it going to catch on?
I watch League of Legends a lot, right? That's my number one thing to go on Twitch for. For Guild Wars 2, I actually enjoyed watching it because of how the combat looks. You know, it's very like graphic and all these special effects, you know, and it's really easy to see the plays and what people are doing with, you know, with its action combat. And there was a play that Mesmer made, right? They had to kill the chieftain in the forest of... Yeah, that one. They had to kill, and there was three of the enemy, right? So we'll say 3 blue was attacking the chieftain, right? And there was only 1 red Mesmer. She went in, and before she went in, she put a portal down. She ran in, hit, and got the last hit on the chieftain, put the portal down, and zipped right back. And they were like going crazy, like, oh, and you get it, you know, you get what happened, and I don't know, it was exciting. You know, and it comes down to the casters as well. I mean,
that's a big portion of it, right? If you have your casters and they can kind of break it down for you, and you really, I mean,
I thought
understand what's going on.
I thought Blue and Grouch are doing a good job. I am not a PvP player. I mean, I really I'm not. But I've loaded up 2 of the tournaments so far. You know, and like Matt, I didn't watch the entire thing, but I was finding it very enjoyable. It was, you know, they had a lot of viewers. People seemed really into it. There were some insane plays. There was, I think it was Maiden Meta made a play where they were down like 413 points to about 350 or something like that, 360, and they made this kind of feint towards one of the nodes, and then they went for killing the guild lord, and they actually got it down and won the match because of that. And it was super exciting. They came out of nowhere from behind and took it. Everyone was like screaming, and it was a great time. I was shocked that all that, you know, we've been talking about this on the show for a long time, that, you know, PvP is really hurting and we really need these features, and once the features come in, are things going to turn around? And I'm just surprised at how quickly the community has gotten things up and running. I mean, that patch hit and boom, there were tournaments right away with the custom arenas and the spectator mode. This patch already brought in changes to like the cameras and different improvements to that, and you know, what do we have? We've had 2 or 3 tournaments already. There's another tournament coming this Sunday. I think it's another one of the Masters of the Mists, or Guild Wars 2 gurus doing that. So yeah, it's exciting to see that the community is starting to get pumped up and revitalized. So it definitely spells good news for us.
How does esports work actually? Do you need a certain amount of people watching, like, or interested in Guild Wars 2 for it to become like official esports or something like that?
There is no, I mean, I don't think there's like an official like thing where it's then considered an esport. I mean, I think right now we're just sort of like, if the community takes a hold of it and the tournaments start getting lots of viewers, you'll see sponsors then start throwing some dollars at it. And then when the dollars start getting thrown at it, then you might see it like, you know, go to like MLG and things like that and become a little more structured and get prize pools going. I think we're in a really like, you know, kind of like wait and see kind of period right now. But the community's response has been really positive from what I've seen. I mean, they seem like they really like it. And that's actually
like 1,000 people.
There was one on Twitter that there was one that had like 4,000 people, I think, watching it.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is also without like any direct involvement from ArenaNet at all. Like they're not really involved in these tournaments. They're just, you know, so it's going to be really interesting. I mean, this is what a lot of these players, the serious PvPers, have been waiting for this for a long time. So finally get to see. So check it out on Sunday. You know, support it, go watch it, check it out, and keep an eye on for more tournaments. Last up this week, the thing you've all been waiting for, the most important thing, the most exciting thing in the world, ArenaNet. It is actually really exciting. ArenaNet have shared their API documentation with the public. Wow. I know for 99% of the people out there, that means absolutely nothing. Not true, actually. 99% of the people out there won't actually do anything with the API information, but they may actually see the benefits of it. So
that's right.
Like I said, API stands for...
Already seeing the... Sorry.
Yeah, you're already seeing the benefits of it. I'm sure. Like people are already out there like coding stuff. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. So basically, oh wait, I think I have a screenshot here. What is this? Basically, it means this. Yeah. That's
I totally understand it now.
You guys,
that's Friday. That's my Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if your brain's not hurting, but basically for the 1% of people out there who are probably programmers, this is actually a really big deal. And our Guild Wars 2 players, it's a really big deal. Basically what this is going to allow is it's going to allow those guys to actually create various tools that the rest of the community can benefit from. So, I think for starters, you're probably going to see event timers and things like that. Maybe apps on the Android, maybe even some, I don't know, possibly in-game overlay technology, stuff like that. So I think, like I said, I think for a lot of people, it's not a huge big deal for people who aren't programmers out there, but now you're going to see a lot of people just making stuff, mods, DPS meters, UI customization, all that stuff. I don't know what the exact, are you guys familiar with what they've kind of locked down and what they've actually opened up?
From what I've seen is that someone gave me a website that it says Guild Wars 2 events, and basically you pick your server and you pick the area, and it tells you what events are going on in the area, and if it's active, if it's not active, stuff like that. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, I guess, because I complain a lot. I'm like, why isn't there any events here? I want to level up my elementalist, and there's no events, and I'm just busy doing hearts. Well, this actually shows what events are on, so can actually go there and actually do the heart.
Yeah, and with the boss fights, right? Previously, we were relying on a website where you needed player input, right? As soon as the boss event would start for the dragon's coming soon, people would update the timer, and of course, people could troll it and mess up the timers and stuff like that. Now you have actual timers for these things, so you can see when the bosses are going to spawn. They also opened up world versus world statistics, so you can see what's going on with the server matchups there. I think there's some other things with like which recipes players have unlocked and found in the game and which ones they haven't. So we should start to see stuff. There's already some Twitter bots set up for certain servers that if you follow them on Twitter, they'll say when certain events are going live, different boss fights and stuff like that. So we should start to see more and more things come live because of it. So it's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, we should keep an eye on that stuff. We talk about some of the more like standout things that people start creating here on the show. We should definitely start covering that. All right, so let's do some viewer questions. If you guys have viewer questions, you can send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. We're always looking for questions, and of course, we're always looking for viewer questions. If you guys have a video question, record yourself on YouTube, post it up, and send us the link at submit@gamebreaker.tv. Today's viewer questions are brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, just head on over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Don't forget the TV. The bug was hiding it. Free 30-day trial. Head on over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. All right, first question. This one from Jonathan Metters. Jonathan asks, he says, what's the best way to gear a fresh 80? Rich?
Play the game the way you want to play it.
What?
That's
Is the gear a fresh 80?
Yeah, how do you gear them up? Well, I mean, it's not hard to get exotics in the game, right? If you want your exotic set of armor and an exotic weapon, there's a lot of ways to do it. So if you enjoy crafting, craft it. If you have a lot of gold, buy it off the trading post. If you like to run dungeons until you get enough tokens and buy your set there. If you just like to play the open world content, save up your karma and buy your exotics at one of the vendors in ore. I mean, there's so many different ways to get the max level gear that it really is up to you to figure out the way to get it. It's not like gear progression games where there's only one way to get the gear. Get it the way you want it.
As well as World v World, you can actually get some gear from there. But if you really want to get a certain type of gear, look up which gear you want first and what build you're going for. And if you want to get all technical, and then you see what dungeon has your gear, and then you farm that dungeon and get the gear that you want. I mean, eventually just get a team and run every morning, and get your dailies and stuff.
All right, next up, this one in from Brian Green. Brian, he says, what do you guys think about the new RNG way to get cosmetics via the gem store? For example, keys to Black Lion chests to get fused weapons or Southsun weapons. Also, they're forcing people to run the same content a gajillion times to get a limited time item, like the molten jetpacks or minis. seems kind of, well, crappy. Is it purely an economy stimulus? What do you think, Matt?
Well, I don't spend money to get a chance to buy anything on the gem store. I just don't do that. There's no way I'm wasting my hard-earned money on that. That's a definitely no for me. I like the way that they did this event. I didn't like, I wasn't too fond of the event, but the thing that they did right was the achievements. You did the achievements, you get the flower here, the nice little feminine flower, and of course the Doc Ock Spider-Man pack, which I think the Karka backpack. I should start calling Karka backpack. Yeah, so I like the way they did that. You get the more achievements, and you get that instead. So it's like you did the content, and you get rewarded for it, instead of it being, oh, let's do this dungeon over and over again. That's never fun. It's never fun. I don't understand what they think it's fun. It's not fun running a dungeon over and over again. And there's no way I was going to do that molten dungeon over and over again. I enjoyed some of that dungeon, but I don't know, man. And that boss fight was pretty epic, but there's no way I'm going to run it over and over again for that.
Richie, thoughts?
Yeah, the way the question is phrased is like, what do you guys think about the new way to get? I mean, it's not a new way. They're changing it. They're constantly going to change it. They're never going to just stick to one way, right? So for people like Matt, it works to have a few achievements that you go through, work, play the game, and then you get your reward. Some people want to just buy the skins right from the gem store. Some people want it to be a rare drop, either from a chest or from a boss fight, because they want to be one of the very few people that actually have that. So they're going to constantly rotate it. So you will see some skins go directly on it. Some skins are going to be put into a box. Some skins are going to be stuff you get just from playing the game, and that's just how it's always going to be. The bad side is if there's something you really want that comes out in a method that doesn't fit your playstyle. That's when it gets a little jarring. It doesn't work, but that's the name of the game. It's never going to be just one set way. They're going to try to make money sometimes. They're going to try to reward different playstyles sometimes, and it's going to be a constant flux.
All right, last up this week from Dan Jones. Dan says, with content changing so fast, do you think it is almost changing too fast in order to accommodate the more hardcore players? Being a more casual player, I feel like I have to play a lot more to keep up, which I don't always have time to do.
This question is so interesting to me. It's so interesting.
That's all they do is do casual content. Well, most of the time.
Well, I was going to say that. I would say that Guild Wars 2 overall is probably one of the more casual MMOs out there, right? You can leave for months and come back, and you're no worse off in terms of gear. You can still access all the content. Hell, most of the content you can be whatever level you want and still experience it. So, but it is interesting that somebody, there are probably players out here that think, hey, content every 2 weeks is not good for a casual player like me. And I kind of know what you feel like, but if you feel the need to experience everything, right, and you don't want to miss anything, and you're one of those, achievement whores, I want every achievement point as possible, then I could see that, this schedule is a little too, robust, because things go into the game and leave so quickly. But if you're the type of casual player that's just, hey, you know what, I'll log in, next month or something like that, and whatever I missed, and I'll just see what's there now, then it works fine. So I do think this is a very interesting question, though, because I think that most people would think that Guild Wars 2 is a fairly casual game.
I think it's because it's more of a psychological situation than actually like a mechanic situation. It's not really. It's more of the psychological factor of them like this. Dan's paying attention to the game and the updates and maybe watching the show, and he's hearing all these things coming at him, and he's like, oh my god, this is happening, and then they're updating this. And he feels like this need to jump in and actually play, but he just doesn't have the time to do it. But like you said, you really stop and think about it, the way the mechanics of the game work, it's okay. Unless the stuff that's just going to go away, only the events that kind of are limited time are the only stuff that you're really going to miss out on. And don't worry, they'll probably come back at some point anyway.
Yeah. And even if they don't, so what? Right? There's no impact. So the only people I think are really harmed by it are the people that really want to experience everything, but their schedule doesn't allow for it. Those are the people that kind of get screwed in the deal.
Right, you don't have any stats on this gear. It's all cosmetic, so it doesn't really matter. It's just skin, pretty much. I mean, if you want the skin really badly, just look up the skins of the event and make some time for it and get it. But, that's pretty much what the events come down to.
Matt Visual, follow him on the Twitter at Matt_visual, and go over and check out his YouTube channel at
Matt Visual. That's it.
Wow, your voice just got amazing. You gotta move that mic closer, dude, man. You got a radio voice going on.
Oh yes.
But don't ever do that. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah. I just got creeped out the second time. Richie Procopio, follow him on Twitter at Richie Procopio. And of course, go over to his YouTube channel, which is Bog Otter. Bog Otter.
Yes.
You can follow me on Twitter at follow me on Twitter at Gary Gannon, follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. And if you guys are fans of the NC Soft, we launched a brand new show this week about WildStar. Look for it. First episode will be up tomorrow as of recording this. And I'll leave it at that. Have a great week. Thanks again for watching GuildCast. We'll see you next week for some more GuildCast action. Have a great week.